Here we are, 45 RPNs, episode number 10 with Ernie Enns and Nigel Bart. Here in Carman, Manitoba, spelled with an A, two A's, Carman.
Carman, yeah. Right.
So today we're still in Carman at GPAC, the old train station art gallery. And it's cloudy. It's Friday night, of course, as usual, and it's kind of cloudy and really windy again.
Yeah, same as last week. It's even colder than last week. Maybe not as windy, but it's as cold. Colder, I should say.
Yeah, it always sort of tends to go this way.
Yeah, I don't know. We're all waiting for spring, and
yeah.
we're getting this, and the farmers can't go. And we can't do anything. And the car club guys, I belong to a car club, they want to go driving and they can't, and so on and so on. And so it's my wife wants to put flowers in, but instead she's taking them in for night into the house tonight because it's forecast to be 0 tonight. So yeah, so welcome to Manitoba is all I can say. The land of extremes, right?
It is.
It is. We have the coldest temperatures in the world. Well, it's exaggerating a bit maybe, and the hottest temperatures in the world, and the most wind. I don't know. It's just we have all extremes here, and yet we're the happiest people in the world. Are we not?
I think we are. And we're the most resilient, like the hardiest.
That's a good point. The hardiest, most resilient, yeah. So anyway, so what's the topic today? Because today is Perfect 10.
It is
the perfect
nice.
10.
There's our topic.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, that's a theme, or that's an aim, the goal.
I suppose. Yeah.
I like your shirt, by the way. You're wearing the Rock and Roll Reunion, another self-made shirt there.
Yeah. I don't know. We could go that direction and talk about radio charts, chart songs, and that sort of thing.
That's a good way to start.
You know?
Yeah. Pull an album there.
Oh, well, not an album so much as actual radio charts.
Oh,
there you go. Radio charts. These are from. Look at this. Look at that.
It's in a little Frosted Flakes box.
Yeah.
You got these.
I don't know what year
it fits perfectly in those cereal boxes.
Yeah, it does. Isn't that something?
It's so nice. I like that. It's very candy-esque.
That's 1972. This is 1971. See, and you can see how they changed in 71 over to 72. They have a different look. You know, they changed the.
Oh my God!
See? You'll see it right there. And so, yeah, we need video for this one, but that's okay. We'll do lots of explaining, I guess.
Well, I think a few photos is what we'll do.
Yeah, so, and there's 73. So I have, and then I have a lot more other ones at home, like out of the newspapers, because the newspapers, like the Free Press would have, or the Sun, or whatever existed back then, would have these radio charts in there too. So people can find all that info, whoever is interested, and I find it very interesting. In the archives, like the Free Press archives, you could find all this stuff. But look, what I'm wearing on the shirt here, that's pulled from one of our, from February, let's see if I can find it here, February the 23rd, 1973, and these are all organized really good. So.
This is what I'm witnessing here is beautifully, like, these are just stacked in mint condition. These little charts that are folded they're about 3 inches by 4 inches. They look like.
They are. I'll show you how big they are. I'm just trying to find the one I'm wearing here, just for. I don't know where it is, but they are like this. This is what they look like. And they put up one every week.
Fold out. Very nice.
See that? That's this one here.
Oh, nice.
And this. See that?
Awesome, man.
And that's this here. So yeah, on these charts, and every weekend. So this is like almost like a history book or something. Like this particular chart is from February the 23rd, 1973. And the reason that's very significant for me, that particular date, is that's the day I bought my first dart. We talked about darts a couple of podcasts ago. And then my very first dart I bought on that day, February 23rd.
Was that accidental?
I guess so, but that's how it was. So that's the reason I put this particular one here. Because when I bought my first car, you know, you can go back in history, and for me, a lot of stuff is when I think about things that happened in time, and then I'll think, well, wonder what year that was. Well, that song was on radio, and then I know. You know, so it's amazing how you remember stuff like that. But
what songs are on there?
Well, Jambalaya. Okay, so most people would know that as a Hank Williams song from the 50s, right? But it was redone by the Blue Ridge Rangers, and the Blue Ridge Rangers is actually John Fogerty. Shortly after CCR disbanded, he played all the instruments, and there's about 5 guys on the cover of the album, right. But they're all him. Everyone is him. He was the only one in the band. He called himself the Blue Ridge Rangers, and when I bought my car, according to and like CKY would be a little different, CFRW would be a little different. One of these other songs would be first, you know, that sort of thing. So it varies a little bit, even within one city, right? And then across the country, it varies quite a bit, I guess. And then we're always, I'd say, 2 to 3 weeks behind the U.S. Like if you look at U.S. charts, which you can find Billboard charts, Tunecaster. If you look on Tunecaster on the internet, you can find it. I think that's probably, I'm not sure who it's, it doesn't say Billboard on there, but it's U.S. anyway, oriented. So, but anyway, there's Jambalaya, and then the second song is Control of Me by Les Emerson. And so you'd say, who's Les Emerson? But you remember the 5-man electrical band? Mm-hmm. Signs, signs, everywhere is signs. Oh, yeah. Well, that was the band he played in, and this is when he went solo. He did that song, Control of Me. And then Come and Join Us by the Dublin Corporation. I had one guy tell me, who was it? I can't think of who it was. He said, that's the best song in the world. You know, so it's like, and so that's what makes me think of it. And Crocodile Rock, well,
oh yeah,
great song. Everybody knows that one. And that one reminds me of, well, a specific girl.
Oh, yeah.
That I can't talk about. Yeah. And so that was, yeah. And Killing Me Softly, Roberta Flack. Turned out to be, see, this came out in February 23rd and 73. So she would have hit #1 with this song probably. If I went through these charts, I'd find out within a couple of weeks or something like that. But it became the #1 song of 1973. This
wow, man.
Yeah,
well, it came out again in the late 90s with a band called the Fugees, where Lauryn Hill was amazingly, she's raps R&B singer. Beautiful voice. You got to look that one up. Lauryn Hill's version, or it's called the Fugees, and their version of "Killing Me Softly," because they revived it.
And if you listen to the word, the words in that song, it's like, you know, that's good lyric writing or good songwriting, is when you can see a picture while the song is going on. Yeah. You can visualize what's going on. That's a well-written song, and that's one of those. It's just. And then there's Danny's song by Anne Murray, and so on and so on. Like there's all these songs, and if I read them all off to you, you'd probably recognize a few.
I've already.
And yet, if you heard them, you'd recognize everyone. You know, it's that sort of thing. So, but for me, I don't know. I just find this, you know, when I put this music onto CDs to listen in a car, and I do it in this order. I do it in this order, and the reason I do that is because every song is with its what do you call it?
Context, like its environment, sort of.
It's all with its. I can't even think of what I'm trying to say here, but see, each song is fighting for first place. You know. Yeah. And every one of these songs is trying to get ahead of the other one, but they're still all on radio all at the same time. That sort of thing. So yeah, and so it's So it's a lot of fun listening to all this stuff, because when you do listen to it, and let's say you're in a moment in time, you're driving on the highway and you hear this song, you got control of me, and it takes you to a certain time. And then the next song comes on, Crocodile Rock, and it keeps you there. It keeps you in that moment, and it's just really cool to have that. Like you can buy the greatest hits or the best of 1970 or 73. You can buy these CDs, but those songs are just all over the place, from that year. Or you can buy number ones from that year, but that's not what this is. Like, these are all the songs. This is a history book of popular music. That's what it is. And you read this, and it whether you like the song or whether you don't like the song, that's what was on radio at that time, and they were all together. And so
it's like a snapshot,
yeah,
like a journal entry almost.
Yeah, it's like a journal entry of music and time, and there's so much good stuff on there, and so
that's awesome.
Yeah, so I have a lot of fun reading these, type thing.
Yeah.
Every once in a while,
let me snap a shot of this before you put it away. We'll keep it rolling, but I'm just gonna take a quick shot here. Yeah. These are so sweet. I love the way you tuck them in those little cereal boxes there.
That's how I bought them. Actually, I bought them from most of these. I bought from one guy. I can do that if you want to take a picture of that. I can do that.
Yeah,
that lay in there, and then a T-shirt too. I was at one of those record shows that I talked about. One of those Rockin' Richards record shows, and a friend of mine, Vic is his name. He had these there, and I said, "Well, what do you want for the whole works?" And he says, "Well, I don't know. Give me so and so much." And I thought to myself, I think that's worth it. And so I walked over to the Hilton or whatever hotel was next, because they had a ATM machine there. Took out cash, went back to the record, walked across the street back to the Victoria Inn.
Oh my gosh!
And went to Vic, and I threw the money down. I had all these type thing, and to me it was one of the best purchases ever, just because I enjoy reading these.
Totally.
Every once in a while, I will like on extended holidays, like Christmas time or something like that. I'll haul these all out and I'll put them on a table, and I'll continue my making CDs in chronological order. So I've done that, from January 1960 right till so far. I think I'm up to 1983 or something like that.
Oh my gosh!
But I got into the 80s with that. So, but what I'm trying to do with a lot of these songs or a lot of these lists, is to put a little more Canadian into them, because a lot of my information, it comes off of here, which is Canadian, but all these other years where I don't have these charts for, I get the information from Tunecaster, or just reading up on bands and music and all that, and you start to know when these songs came out. Like if you research one particular song, you can find out when it was released and all that stuff. So I do that, but I'm trying to get more Canadian, like what I would have been listening to in 1969 or 1965, or 1965 I wasn't listening to music really. I mean, but just to put a little more the actual feel of having a radio and listening to songs in the evening, and you'd hear all the same bunch of songs, that sort of thing. So I'm trying to put the Canadian content in it, and even within the country of Canada, it varies. Songs like This Flight Tonight by Nazareth, it was Joni Mitchell's song. That song was popular in Winnipeg, but I couldn't find it across the country anywhere. I couldn't find it was popular anywhere except here. And so you get that sort of thing. You get local following or something, even of Guess Who, when they were starting out, obviously they had following it in Winnipeg and nowhere else, and that sort of thing. So, but it does vary across the country, to a point. So
that's interesting. The sort of the regional musical tastes.
Yeah.
Of,
Yeah.
very cool.
And so yeah. So you know,
And it's very comprehensive. Like your bookkeeping of these, and this leads into making compilation discs. But
yeah.
your book, I'm gonna snap a shot of that too, because that's really it's really cool, man.
You know, and this was like this was a lot of years in the making.
Yeah.
You know, sitting at the computer and
Yeah.
and I remember working on this is when one evening when I was working on this, I think we talked about is I ran across that collector's 45 3-room school. Remember I talked about that? And I remember working on this list at that time, and all of a sudden I heard that song, and so. But yeah, it took a lot of years to do this to make it, and then yeah, so I listened to these and I still listen to them all the time in the car. Just they're very interesting.
And the sounds that came out at those particular years, have you picked out any trends in the sounds, like more in certain years, maybe sort of more distortion or different kinds of harmonies, or any kind of trends you're picking out?
Yeah, I think so. Like I've thought about that over the years. Like certain times it would all be soft songs on the radio and that sort of thing, and like nothing definite, but yeah, little stuff like that, and you can hear it. A lot of times you can hear if you listen to a song, you can almost guess what decade it's from, right? And you can that with the 70s too, and in the 80s had their own sound. They brought in that whatever you call it, that sound, and but
Q sound. It's the digital harmonies and all that.
Yeah,
Q sound. It's like, I think that's what you call it, Q.
And you know who
digitizing.
Well, who came up with Q sound?
Was it Queen or who is it?
We talked about this.
Oh yes, wasn't it Painter?
That Painter guy.
Man. Oh, I've been listening to Painter. I love.
Yeah. What was his name?
Yeah.
This it sucks.
Yeah. Well,
I can't remember his name.
I have your Painter album.
Yes, you do. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. So this is what I've been working on pretty diligently for probably 10 years, maybe longer.
I figure you should give that a nice title of that, like the Ernie Ann's Black Book. Call it the Black Book, like
you have to call it
the official Black Book sort of thing.
The chronological something.
Yeah,
because that's what it is. It's every song as it came out on the charts. Not every song. Yeah. Not every song, because I tried to fit 3 months onto one CD.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because some songs were on the charts much longer than other songs. They'd rise to the top and they'd leave. And so every 3 months you get a pretty clean slate for a whole pile of different songs. Like the same songs will be on each chart week after week after week, just a different number. They slowly come up and they slowly go down and that sort of thing. So over the course of 3 months, they're all gone. It's all changed to all these other songs, right?
Very interesting.
A whole bunch of new songs. And so if you do it every 3 months, then it's, yeah.
Are they staggered ever? Like layered? Like, are they ever like one song starts here and then 2 months into it and another? Or do they line up? So like you have a 3-month bracket of songs and then starting fresh with the 3. Well, I guess it doesn't go like that.
No, it doesn't.
More organic.
Yeah. Well, I just went 3 months just because, in the 60s, you could put 30 songs onto a CD, onto 82 minutes. And then, of course, you get into the 70s, you can only put 25 songs. And you get into, later on, into 80s, you could get under 20, 18 songs or something. So songs were getting longer.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing. So... But
I wonder, like, I had this question about songs and such, about like the length and sort of the nature of like structures of, well, not only of songs but the charts and such, like the structure of them, and whether it's like an arbitrary thing or whether like it's just a random thing, or is it more, is there a design to it that you might like?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's definitely a design to it, in the sense that it's all controlled by money, right? Everything is controlled by money, and so it depends on how well the song does and where it can be used. Record companies make money on it, whatever. And the more they sell, and the more requests they have for it, the higher it goes, and the bigger price you can get for your concerts, and so on and so on.
Cool. So it's like a competitive market, but it's
Very,
like you're looking
that's
at
the word.
songs market like stocks, almost like rising and falling a bit.
Yeah.
Very
Well, yeah, I
interesting.
suppose, but that's the song that's the word I was trying to think of before. Every song is together with its competitor.
Competitor, yeah.
So the song on each side of the
It's like
song,
organized competitive music instead
yeah,
of sports, man. It's
yeah,
kind of the same
it's
sort of
competitive
thing.
music. They're all vying for number one, not vying for number one. That's what they're fighting for, to try to get there. And so,
There,
and
it's like Olympics, music Olympics, man. But
yeah,
that's awesome. Like
yeah,
I admire
yeah.
your organizational
But
skills
yeah,
in doing
so
that.
to go from, let's say here, to go from January to March, I did 3 months for, there's 23 songs on there. And then you go to April to June, another 3 months. It's all totally different songs. So these songs would have risen. All of these songs would have risen. Some would rise a little bit, and some appeared, some hit number one, and that sort of thing. But by and large, all of these songs are off the charts by April 1st because these songs have moved in and they're coming up. See, they're probably on the charts already here, right? Some of these songs will be here already, type thing. But they're most. I tried to do it as in the most popular time of that
Yeah.
particular record. Not necessarily the date it was released, and not necessarily when it hit number one, but just. But anyway, they could all be like all these songs could be switched around a bit and still be chronological, right?
That's so interesting. Like
Yeah.
it's almost like you capture. Like I'd like to figure out like a wave diagram of like sort of
Yeah.
the climax and when it starts to decline and all that. Like it'd be kind of neat to chart them. Like
Yeah.
I mean, those are a certain type of charts, but like with the diagram, like when these songs peak and stuff, like a visual
Yeah.
of that.
I suppose that would work, but you can diagnose this and as much as you want and make lists and keep track of stuff and graphs.
Oh, we have
Oh.
company.
Aha, we have
Hey, bud,
company.
we're doing a recording.
All right.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi. Good.
We have a special guest here.
Yeah, we have a
It's
visitor today.
My
Nice.
son has joined the circle. He's just gonna listen, I think. But yeah, so Ernie and I are just we'll carry on. Well, my son came out from the big lights, so here we go. I was gonna yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, that is chronological music, and it was fun doing. Like it was really a lot of fun making it. But no matter how much you analyze all this stuff,
Yeah.
and like you say, if you want to do graphs on it and look at it or whatever, the bottom line is just put that record on and listen to it.
There you go.
That's the payment,
Yeah.
is the music. And like here, leave on Elton John, just throw that record on, and every one of these songs is like that. It's just that good. And for me, that was a very special time. It was 71, 72, 73, and so yeah.
I was gonna ask you, this nature of remembering the music in a chronological sort of historical element. I think like how I feel like that knowledge could apply to a lot of things that would be, very healthy for a community or a society to learn how to sort of look at something historically in sort of like context, but also like chronology. Sort of like the way it happened rather than like jumping around from 1980 and then like pulling it sort of in a non-linear way. So like I guess my question is, do you think your cataloging system is like a good way of looking at a lot of different things, maybe like,
Yeah.
or like reminding us to keep track of the process or of life, whatever it may be. You
Yeah.
know, do you ever think of that?
Not really, no. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. I figured it. I guess if you're gonna, like you talk about remembering stuff, if you're gonna put stuff in your brain to remember, it might as well be music.
No, totally. But that's your system. What I'm getting at, sort of, is like I'm teaching a journal writing workshop right now,
Okay.
and journal writing is not what you think it is. Like some artists do journal writing, so it could be
As
like
in what?
looking.
Keep track of.
Keep track, yeah, and this is what you're doing, man. Is
Uh,
keeping track. Some like bankers or whatever, financial sort of people keep track of their receipts or their receipt
yeah,
books.
yeah.
With you, it's music. With me,
Yeah.
it's visuals. It's my catalog of visuals.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's different for everyone, but
Yeah.
our way of understanding the world is definitely like how we capture our existence is like to remember what we've gone through. And so like what you've done here is like you're a really thorough um I'd say journaler, but you're also like you're a historian, but what you're doing I think is like a lot of people could mimic this at what they do best. So like cooks,
Yeah.
chefs could do it with the recipe books
Yeah.
and what they like to eat like in
Yeah,
when they were younger.
well, it
So
goes right back to passion. What
passion.
we always talk about, like the passion for the music, and that's why you do it, is because you just love doing it. You love looking for it, and you love listening to it, and collecting it and all
But it's
that.
relatable is too what
And yeah, and this is just a very fun project to have a chronological. And so yeah.
well, I think the collector in you is teaching a lot of people here on our webcast that like to me just to grab this point is that like yeah you're teaching us, man, like how to remember our past like in a good way that we might
Yeah,
like a thorough and sort of complete way.
it's definitely a good tool for remembering stuff for me anyway. Like in such and such a year or whatever, such and such a song was on, and I know it was where it was from because I remember where I was at that time. Like when I first went to Winnipeg. When I first quit school and went to Winnipeg, I was one of those guys, right? The world is out there, and the stuff that was on the music that was on radio was just Diamond Girl by Seals and Crofts. I remember that very specifically, listening to that song, and so and but yeah. So,
And it's like for a literary person, like I remember reading books when I was like literature, like when I was, so it wasn't so much music, it was like when I picked up a book like F. Scott Fitzgerald's Great Gatsby. I remember reading that in grade 11 in high school, and it
yeah.
shifted my whole thinking of life. Like I pick up that book, I have that book, and it's like a novel, a fictional novel, the Great Gatsby.
I've
And
heard of that.
it's like wonderful movies have been made of it, but when I hold that book, it's like I almost get flashbacks when I was in grade 11. I had my first, or one of my girlfriends. Or probably my first girlfriend. I was pretty nerdy, but
Yeah.
grade 11, I had this girlfriend, and it just like a flashback, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, organizing, collecting objects, whether it's books or albums or 45s or
Memories.
charts or memories. I think it's a really healthy practice. Like, I think it's healthy and it's good for you.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's like
As long as you don't cross the line of living in the past, right?
feeding off the past. I used to say to my grandma, "Don't feed off the past, Grandma," because she'd bring up the worst.
We all do it, we all live in the past. I know I
Yeah.
do too, and I'm conscious of it at times. It's like, I really gotta smart enough because I'm living in the past.
Well, like what
But-
you're doing is
But no,
great, man.
you're right. This is just
It's your life.
Yeah.
But when we pick, like, to me, feeding off the past is like when we pick up like the worst of the past and hold on to it, which is not healthy.
Yeah.
But you're picking out like this objective sort of beauty of your history, which is awesome.
Yeah, the past was beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, man. A lot of us don't remember properly. Like some of our lives, like many people out there wear these sort of really crooked, blurry glasses, and we're looking at our lives as if they're sort of black and dark, when half those experiences that we even like think we had were, there was always like a rose colored element to them.
Yeah.
You know, it's philosophical, but
Oh yeah, when I think about my life, right from young, it's just awesome. Everything was awesome.
totally no regrets, man. Like
No regrets. And you know, I still kind of live that way, in the sense that I heard somebody say one time that when you pass away, when you die, you will you won't regret the things you've done, you'll regret the things you haven't done. And that is kind of my, way back, it's kind of my philosophy. I just, because people live their lives inhibited by what other people are going to think.
Yeah.
We all do it, right?
Yeah.
And so, and I do it too, but I consciously do things, some things that I do consciously because I don't want to regret not having to do them, that sort of thing. And that's what got me into singing. Like, I always played in bands, but I never sang. And when I met Brenda, I mean, she's very inspirational, and I started singing, and she made me feel worthy of singing, and that sort of thing. And so now, which I would have never thought in a million years that I would go to the front of the church with my guitar and I would sing a song. I do it on a regular basis now. I do, and because I don't want to someday regret not doing that, because I like doing that. I don't want to ever say that, oh, I wish I would have not been so inhibited by other people's, even though other people, when you do it, they think it's great. And yet in your mind, you don't do it because what's somebody going to think, right? So,
yeah. So important what you're saying.
Yeah. So
I think a lot of people's inhibitions are like basically block them, and we always get a false sense of who we are through the weirdest sort of sources, a lot of, kids these days are looking at their Instagram likes or their Facebook likes, or like how many likes they're getting, which is like so random anyway. Like you can't gauge how popular a child is based on like some random likes on Facebook.
Which is too bad.
It is too bad. Like I'm very much like you. I appreciate like if one has a question in life, like doesn't know something and really is drawn to that, we explore it, like figure it out. And if it's wrong, like it's a wrong direction, well, you learn, but you don't like I think there's something to experiential learning where like you can tell a child to don't drive without your hands on a bicycle. Too many times or you might fall, man.
I've tried that.
Of course, man. We all have. But and then if you tried it, if you hit a bump, you might.
I've never mastered it.
I know it's hard.
I've never let go long enough to try to learn it. So
the point of that is simply we all got to learn that experientially. But in today's day and age, it's hard. It is hard because everyone expects book smarts when half our society is not book smarts.
No.
And even a book smart person
doesn't learn. So many people that have low self-esteem, which is really too bad, because every person on this earth is no more or no less important than the next person beside you. I don't care if you're Paul McCartney or you're living in the back alley in Winnipeg. There's nobody more or less important than you are.
That's like that. Right? Now that is a wise. It's wisdom that you're speaking, because I haven't come across many people who've like accentuated that point. And I didn't even, I think it comes with age and maturity, that realization that,
Yeah.
even like people idolize things all over the world. So
Yeah.
we idolize stars, or like people, stars.
Exactly. And
So
we all do
it's not
that.
healthy.
Yeah.
It's like we're all the same, man. We all have similar biology. Like
Yeah.
we're just the same. So
Yeah.
in that regard, we're not identical, but we're the same.
Yeah.
And like what you say is, I look at kids, man, because kids need to know some of this.
Yeah.
Like,
All these kids that have low self-esteem, and the reason, part of the reason for that is being put down as a child, type thing. And so,
yeah,
which is really sad. I mean, children can be cruel, right? And
Yeah.
no fault of their own, right? I mean, they just
Right.
are.
Right.
But it does damage.
It does.
It does damage.
It
And
leads
every
to a
generation
lot
has to
of-
learn, like in elementary school or whatever, they have to teach and learn and tell them that no bullying, and all that stuff. And which is fine if you can get that through, and it probably helps quite a bit. But the next generation coming up, you have to tell them the same thing, because they don't know that either, that what they do is bullying.
Yeah.
And so I hear about it now too. Like my grandkids go to school here. Yeah, I hear about the bullying thing, and they all do it. But those kids don't mean anything by it. That's just the way they are, right?
It's kids, man. It's human nature,
It's
but
human
it's
nature,
like
yeah. Which is too bad.
but it's training. It's like learning language,
Yeah.
learning a musical language, learning proper behaviors. But to say a child knows, like, we often idolize youth in this society, and kids know, like, we have to respect children for sure. Like, you respect children and you respect elders, but you don't idolize children and you don't idolize elders. Like, if we idolize an age bracket, just saying that, well, kids are probably more important than adults, or if you idolize the oldsters, the aged, the wisdom, it's got to be the same.
Yeah.
Just like you look at people the same. Like,
Yeah.
kids and adults need constant training in order to be the best they are.
Yeah, but yeah, it'd be nice if people could never lose that something that children have, right? The innocence that children have.
That's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
like kids have this beautiful innocence,
Yeah.
and it's so precious.
Yeah.
And it's not like
They don't see color, for instance. Like, there's a good example right there. I have two black grandsons. I have two black grandsons.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how one day Braxton, my oldest, well, Misty's oldest, and all of a sudden one day he said, "Grandma, I'm not the same color as you are." And he had known Grandma for years.
Yeah.
For years, they had known each other.
Yeah.
And so he also realized one day, we're not the same color.
Exactly.
So it's just, it's the innocence of seeing that person, not seeing the size of them or the color of their hair or the way they act, not seeing any of that, just see the person. You only see the person.
Yeah. I remember, see, it's, there's an age when we're all, like I don't know if you remember sort of your age when you were just like, you walk with a gang of kids, or a group of kids, not a gang, but a group of your school chums, and you think to yourself, like, well, I am who I am, but you're not really thinking about whether you're fitting in or you're not fitting in, or you look different or you don't, or you think different or you don't think different. So, like, there's been moments in my life where I've just thought, well, I'm a cool, like, just like whatever. Like, the lens I look at myself at is like in high regard when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But as I grow and like, the more I accept my differences, and look at myself through a sort of a objective sort of lens as a mature adult, I start to see like, well, I look back on my life, I look forward, I'm thinking like, maybe I'm always trying to, fit in, as you say,
Yeah.
but also like be myself. So it gets complicated as we get older, and we're constantly making mistakes and like trying to retract, and just like, what I'm trying to say is that the innocent simplicity of a child is just beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And that's exactly what you're saying. But
yeah,
the complexity of an adult is beautiful too.
yeah. It'd be nice if we could combine that somehow. We could
Well,
keep the innocent and the, the pure.
Is diversity, man.
Yeah.
Like keep it
and yet accumulate experiences, and not. I mean, I could have said knowledge, but it kind of goes hand in hand. So accumulate your experiences and still keep that wonderful innocence
freshness
as a child. Yeah. And
the
so,
eyes.
but it's just not the way it is.
It's not always, but
No.
like life is complicated too, and sometimes people take a long detour in their life. Like we do that, and it's the learning experience. But I know a lot of people who've had like whatever mental illness or drug addiction or all sorts of like dark things happen to people, and it's not to judge that, because those people, they have to straighten out sort of at some point. Otherwise, we sort of always go to we all end up at the same doorway, but I think that we have to acknowledge that there's a lot of diversity in life and complexity, and lots of people think there's a lot of like sort of like looking at each other and wondering, well, what's that person thinking, like where's that person been, and and often we judge them, or we place them on pedestals, or we put them down.
Yeah, that's a big problem.
I think that's a problem.
We judge without even knowing.
There's only one judge, right? Like it's not us.
It's not us, and there's so many people think that they can judge, and but which is too bad. But
where are we at? Time here. We got 3 minutes. We're gonna wind her up. And I want to thank Ernie for coming down here consistently. Cold weather, cold winds, cyclones, tornadoes, hurricanes, no matter what, Ernie is here. And if you need to get a bathtub installed, or get new drywall in your house, Ernie is there, and it's the same thing.
Or if you want a band for your backyard barbecue, I can do that too.
Ernie is the jack of all trades, man. So I want to thank you, Ernie. Again, a stellar episode, and I think this one was a 10 out of 10. Maybe a 9 out of 10 is more perfect. 99%, is perfect.
It is episode 10, so it has to be the perfect 10, right?
That's it. So you're it's the what's the term? Da Vinci Code, the Ultron man, or that the man in the circle. That's you, Ernie. This
okay.
I guess there's a certain the perfect man.
Yeah.
It's an artistic thing. But thank you, Ernie. We got 2 minutes, 1 minute now.
1 minute, yeah.
And
well, I'd like to thank you, Nigel, just for hosting always, but a few minutes ago here, or just 45 minutes ago, I asked Nigel about doing a logo for my band, and he sat down, and it took him less than 5 minutes for a prototype, and it's perfect. It's exactly what I want to go with my
That's
band,
awesome,
and so
man.
I like to have that put onto a, I don't know how you do it.
Well, scan it, man. I'm
You
gonna scan it digital and
scan
email it to you.
and then I can do a printout on a.
We'll do a JPEG and PDF and all
Yeah,
that jazz.
those are the letters I was thinking.
The
of.
TIFF, because the TIFF is the highest
And then I'm
resolution.
gonna print it out on transfer paper.
Do it
On
up.
transfer iron
Yeah.
on stuff. Then I'm gonna have that on my T-shirt. So
Awesome, man.
yeah, so thank you for that. That's awesome.
You got it, man.
Yeah.
It's a mutual exchange.
Right on.
So we're logging off here in Carmen, Manitoba. That was 45 RPNs with Ernie Enns, Nigel Bart, and we are done episode 10. So have a great weekend, and may the force be with you.